You know that feeling. You're in a group, at work, at a family dinner, maybe just out with people you thought were your friends, and you say something, a thought, an idea, maybe just a simple opinion, and nobody reacts. The conversation just keeps moving, like you never spoke, like you were a piece of furniture that briefly made a noise. Or maybe someone does respond, but they cut you off halfway through your sentence. Or they smile in that way that says they're not really listening. Or someone else says the exact same thing 5 minutes later, and suddenly that gets a reaction. Great point. Yeah, exactly. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, I just said that. That moment doesn't just sting, it lands somewhere deep. Because what it's really saying is, you don't count here. And the worst part, you don't know why. You're not rude, you're not loud. You try to be decent and reasonable and easy to get along with, so why does it keep happening? Why does it feel like some people walk into a room and immediately get taken seriously, while others, maybe you, have to fight to be heard at all? Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Respect isn't just given. And it isn't just about being a good person. It's a signal. And somewhere along the way, without realizing it, you've been sending the wrong one. Today we're going to fix that. We'll start with the real reason this is happening, and then build you a complete reset, step by step. Not with fake confidence tips, not with aggressive tricks, with something deeper, something that actually changes how people see you. Stay until the end, because the final piece is the one most people never figure out, and it's the one that changes everything. The real reason people stop respecting you. Let's be honest first. Most people think they're not respected because of something other people are doing wrong. And sometimes that's true. Some people are just small. Some people tear others down because it's the only way they feel tall. But that's not the whole story. Here's the uncomfortable part. Other people treat you the way you've trained them to treat you. Not on purpose, not consciously, but through 1,000 tiny signals you send every single day. The way you shrink when someone disagrees with you. The way you over-explain when you say something simple, like you're already preparing your defense. The way you laugh a little too quickly at jokes made at your expense. Each of those moments is a lesson, and they're learning it. Psychologists call it the self-respect signal. How you feel about yourself on the inside gets broadcast on the outside, in your posture, your tone, your eye contact, the way you take up space in a room, and people read it instantly, without even thinking. They don't decide consciously, they just react to it. So if you don't fully believe you deserve respect, the people around you will sense it before you've said a single word. The good news? That signal can be changed. Right now. Here's how. Problem 1. You're too available. There's a person most of us know, the one who always says yes, who drops everything, who bends and adjusts and accommodates until there's almost nothing left of what they wanted in the first place. And people like that person. They really do. But they don't respect them. Because here's how the human brain works. We value what is slightly difficult to access, not what's cruel or cold, but what has standards. When you are available for everything, at all times, without hesitation, your time and presence stop feeling precious. They feel free, and people treat free things carelessly. You don't have to become unavailable, you just have to stop treating your time like it has no value. Say no sometimes. Let there be a moment where you can't. Let there be a conversation where your answer isn't immediate, not as a game, but because your time actually matters. When you start treating your own time like it's worth something, other people will too. Problem 2, you over-explain everything. Here's a small habit that quietly destroys respect, and almost nobody notices they're doing it. You make a decision, a simple one, and then you explain it, and then you justify it, and then you add a little more detail just to make sure they understand, and then you watch their face to see if they approve. Sound familiar? Over-explaining is the language of someone asking for permission they shouldn't need. It says, "I'm not sure I have the right to do this, so I need to convince you that I do." Confident people don't do this, not because they're arrogant, but because they don't experience their own choices as something that requires a defense. They say what they think, they do what they decide, they leave space for disagreement without panicking. Next time you catch yourself over-explaining, stop. Say the thing once, say it clearly, then let it stand. You don't need a verdict. You've already made your choice. Problem 3. Your body is lying for you. You can say the right words, but if your body is telling a different story, nobody will hear the words. Slouched shoulders, avoiding eye contact, a voice that goes up at the end of every sentence like it's asking a question, rushing through what you say like you're afraid you'll be interrupted. These things signal one thing: I don't fully believe I belong here. You don't have to feel confident to look confident. Research actually shows it works the other way around. When you adjust your posture, slow your speech, hold eye contact for just a beat longer than feels comfortable, your body starts to convince your brain, and it convinces everyone else at the same time. Stand like you've already earned your place in the room, because you have. The deepest fix: stop needing it now. Here's the part most people skip, and it's the most important. Everything we've talked about, the availability, the over-explaining, the body language, they're all symptoms of one root cause. You're looking to other people to tell you that you're okay. And when respect becomes something you need from the outside, it becomes something that can be taken from you. Every dismissive comment becomes a verdict. Every silence becomes a judgment. Every ignored idea becomes proof of something you already feared. That is an exhausting way to live. The people who command the most respect in a room are usually not the ones working the hardest to get it. They're the ones who seem the least bothered whether they get it or not. Not because they're cold, but because they've already settled the question internally. They know who they are, they know what they think, and they don't need the room to confirm it. That's not arrogance. That's what self-respect actually looks like. When you stop auditing every interaction for approval signals, something shifts. You become calmer, clearer, quieter in a way that draws people in rather than pushing them to fill the silence for you. And suddenly, people start leaning forward when you speak, not because you demanded respect, but because you stopped desperately needing it. That's the real game, not performing confidence, not collecting techniques, but genuinely settling into yourself so fully that other people's opinions of you become interesting but not necessary. Because here's the final truth. Respect is not something you earn by doing more. It's something you stop giving away. Stop shrinking. Stop over-explaining. Stop being so available that your presence feels free. You were never the problem. The signal was. Change the signal. Everything else follows.